Okay, so today I want to tell you about one of my favorite exercises for building the upper and mid back and also for increasing your bench and deadlift. You guys probably know how important the upper back is in stabilizing your torso position on both the bench and deadlift. So I'm not going to explain why building that musculature is important. I just want to show you how to perform this exercise and give you an idea of why I think it's more valuable than other types of upper and mid back exercises that you can perform. So this is a seal row. It's done on the Elite FTS hamstring curl slash leg extension machine, but you don't have to use that bench. You can use any bench that's deep enough so that you can get full extension of your arms at the bottom of the motion. And you can see I'm using a neutral grip bar. Again, it's the Elite FTS American Smith bar or American Swiss bar, I believe. But I do recommend a neutral grip bar. It doesn't need to be that specific model, and we'll talk about why the neutral grip is important in a little bit. Note that here I'm using 25-pound plates so that I can get that full extension. You probably won't be able to load this movement up too heavily. I believe my best on this is 290 for 3. So I think you'll have no problem using 25s to get enough weight on the bar for you. Now, there are a few points of execution that I want to touch on before we get into the why I perform this exercise. The first is your range of motion. I already mentioned how I want to make sure that you have full extension of both the scapula and the elbows at the bottom. However, I also want to make sure that you know to keep your reps consistent. It's very, very easy to cheat on this movement by using a partial range of motion and not driving the bar all the way up to your chest. So personally, what I do is only count the rep if I'm able to hear the bar clang against the bottom of the bench when I finish that rep. So if I don't hear the clang, the rep didn't count. That's a way to keep me honest. The other thing I don't want to see is what T is doing here, where you see him bring his chest up. That allows you to get more of the lower back into the movement. Now, Taylor's doing that because he's training for strongman. And in strongman, that isolation that you need sometimes in powerlifting and bodybuilding is not nearly as important. There are very few events in strongman where your body's going to act in isolation, whether it's for stabilization purposes against a bench or pulling on a static bar. So for him, it's a little bit more acceptable to use that kind of form. But if you're training to strengthen your bench press or to build your upper back musculature, I want to make sure that you keep your chest against the pad the entire time. The third thing I want to mention is the path of my elbows. Watch my elbows here. See how they're not driving straight up? They're driving back towards my hips. That's to get maximum activation of the back muscles. Remember, whenever you're performing a movement like this, whenever you close the elbow joint, all right, you're using your biceps. The function of the bicep is to close the elbow joint. And on most pulling motions, there is some closing of that joint involved. That's why you'll hear compound exercises, right, where a pull down involves both your back and your arms. But you can minimize the extent of the arms by driving backwards first, driving elbows back to keep that joint open as long as possible. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the rep scheme that we use here. You may have noticed during our work sets, and I'll play another one in a second here, that T and I were pausing in the middle of the set. And that's because we're performing what's known as Myo-reps. So Myo-reps are a protocol I'm going to link to a description below that allow you to get a lot of work done in a short period of time and to really push your limits without having to load the bar up very heavily. If you're familiar with the rest pause system of training, it's similar to that. But a Myo-rep set is composed of an activation set, generally somewhere between 10 and 15 reps, and then a subsequent series of mini sets that can be between 3 and 5 reps. So you'll do your first set, that's the activation set or the higher rep set, and here I believe we're doing something like 12. And then you'll rest for about 10-15 seconds, and you'll do a second set of between 3 and 5 reps. So here I think we're doing 4. Generally, you'll shoot for about 1/3 of your activation reps. So you'll keep doing that. You'll keep resting 10-15 seconds and then performing sets of 3 to 5 until you hit your desired RPE, in this case 10. So for the whole set, you'll do a set of 15, you'll rest, you'll do 5, you'll rest, you'll do 5, you'll rest, you'll only get 3, and then you're done with that one set. And here we did 2 total sets. So if you're looking for a way to really increase the intensity of your training but you don't want to load heavily for any reason, Myo-reps are something that you should give a shot. Hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was helpful. Please give me feedback, and we'll try to keep them coming.